today I'm bringing you my January wrap-up of all the books that I did end up reading for the month of January. And I have my 4 focus books that I'll talk about, as well as the other books that I did read, and I did a grand total of 16 books. That is amazing. Again, I only had 4 focus books on my actual physical TBR that I wanted to read for this month, and then the other books came from my Romanceopoly readathon, as well as my rolling physical TBR project that I've set up for myself. Both of these are also year-long projects that I am working on. One is a project, one is a readathon, but it goes the entire year. So some months I know are going to be more books, others may be less, and I'm completely okay with that, but I do have 4 focus books that I do put on my actual TBRs. So how my breakdown of my books: I read 8 physical books, then I had 5 e-copies, electronic copy books, and then I also completed out 3 audiobooks. So that's kind of how the breakdown of what I have. If I don't have a physical copy, I will put pictures up here on the screen, so I'm kind of offset so that you'll be able to see them, and it won't be so crowded on the scene on the screen. But anyway, so let's get into the 16 books that I did complete. The first one is Bite Me by Shelley Lawrenston. This was a pretty good book. I read this through an e-copy. I love her books. She is a shifter style romance writer. She does a lot of mixed races and, or in this case, animals in her books. So I like that. It's not just your typical, one race type books. But anyways, so if you're into that, I would definitely check her out. This particular one, it follows Livy. She is a honey badger, and she is hooking up with a bear of some type who is very OCD about things. So it's kind of interesting, their story and how everything comes about. I would highly recommend her. I really did enjoy it. I believe I gave it a 5-star rating on Goodreads. Great book, great series. I think it's book 8 in her Pride series. The next one, I did read it as a physical book, but I had to return it to my school library so other students could actually read the book, so I'll put it up here. Then this is the Fire and Ash book. It was book number 4, I believe, which concluded out the Rotten Ruin series by Jonathan Mayberry. I absolutely love that series. Again, if you followed me in 2019, when I started that series, I could do nothing but rave about it. And it's not just, it's a zombie book, and which is normally not up my alley. It's the backstories, the character-driven stories, and what goes on with them that I fell in love with. So I would highly recommend it if you are a person who likes character-driven stories and not just the horror element. So the zombies is just kind of a element to the story, it's not the whole story. So I did highly recommend that series. This book, it took me, I think, 3 months, because January was the 3rd and final month I was giving to The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. I like the productions, the movie productions, way more than I have been enjoying the actual stories themselves. If you are going to pick these up, I know it's classical style writing, you're either going to love his physical writing, or I would suggest the audio. The audio brings the story to life, and I get through it better, and then I can listen to it to and from work. But every time I picked up this physical copy, halfway in a chapter, I would fall asleep because his writing is so long-winded, so descriptive, the monologues are so long that just reading it kind of put me to sleep. But I did enjoy the audio much better than this. So if I continue reading out the last 2 books, I will definitely do the audio. I would, even though I do have the physical books, I will definitely do the audio one. Otherwise, I'll never get through them. So it was one of my lower ranking books, I believe. I don't remember if I gave it a 3 or 4 stars, because it is good writing. It's just classical style writing, which I'm not used to reading anymore. So would recommend it, but would recommend it via audio. Alright, the next one I did via my Audible, which is an audio service. It is Rise of Magics by Nora Roberts. Again, I'll put a picture up here on the screen. Really did enjoy it, but it's again similar to The Lord of the Rings. I enjoyed the audio version better than I did the physical copy. When I started the trilogy, Year one, I didn't enjoy the physical copy as much. I felt it was very choppy, very abrupt in a lot of places, very rushed in others. I may try the audio version of the first book later this year because I did enjoy the other two books via audio. Would recommend. It is a magic, so paranormal. It has a little bit of romance, but that's not the heavy focus of the book. It's more on saving the world from apocalyptic magic gone awry type of thing. So the battle between good and evil. So that's The Rise of Magics. The next book is No Exit by Taylor Adams. I absolutely did enjoy this book. At first I thought, why did the author reveal one of the characters so quickly? And then I stopped to think, this is a thriller mystery type book. Where's the twist? And I'm glad that I did continue on with it because there were so many different twists and turns that it was really exciting to actually read. A little bit of repetitive in some places, but overall a really great read. I would highly recommend this book. Kind of on the same lines, this is To Catch a Killer. I would say this would be definitely young adult, whereas the other, No Exit, would be more, to me, at least a new adult to adult book. Again, you're following a young girl and her kind of love interest and trying to figure out who killed their science teacher and how is it connected to her and the person who murdered her mother when she was a lot younger, a baby or a toddler, I can't remember which. Really good book. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as I did No Exit, but it was still a good mystery. So I definitely would recommend it for at least a once read. I may end up decluttering it because I don't know if I'll go back and reread it, but it was still a good book. So I'll wait and see about that one. Alright, so the next book is called Stone Rider by David Hoffmeyer. Very good book, a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It kind of reminds me of the Divergent and the Hunger Games series in a way where you have this government that pits kids against one another to get this reward at the end to make life easier and better. Kind of same vibes with this one, whereas they are racing in these games to get off planet because their planet has basically been destroyed. It doesn't really go into what really caused the planet to become pretty much uninhabitable in a way where it's very, very difficult to live. So all these young people and who can ride through the motorcycle races trying to earn points and or win the race to get off planet to live in the ships above the planet, which where life is supposed to be much better and more enjoyable. So I would highly recommend it. It was had a lot more twists than I thought going into it, but it was a really good read. I really did enjoy it. Okay, the next book, this is by Christine Feehan. This is Dark Celebration. I could have kicked myself when I did go to read this book. I didn't realize I had the physical copy of the book, so I ended up purchasing the e-copy and I read the e-copy version. Either way, it was still a good book. I don't ever remember reading the physical copy of the book, so I guess that's why I didn't realize I had it. But it was a good story. It brought in and kind of connected some of the dots because I hadn't read it previously as to how some of these people had gotten together, and ties in some information that I was missing. Even though, you know, later books that I did read, they're standalone books, so you didn't quite need this one, but it did kind of fill in some blanks that I did have. So, good book. This is vampires, two different types. You got the humans, then you have the Carpathians, which are the good vampires, and then you have the evil ones who have turned and all they do is kill. So the Carpathians actually live in harmony with humans, whereas the true vampires do nothing but kill for the pleasure of it, to feel those emotions, to feel at all. So I highly recommend it, and her as an author in general. Love, love, love that author. Another book that I did finish, it is called Taking Chase. This follows one of the Chase brothers. It followed Shane and Cassie. Yeah, Shane and Cassie, I believe. And because he is very reserved, because in his past, his fiance cheated on him with his best friend. So he doesn't really trust women. Cassidy is fleeing her ex-husband that she's divorced, but he got out of jail. With it, her husband tried to kill her multiple times. He was supposed to be sentenced to jail. He got out because of a slip up in court, and he's coming after her. So she ends up moving to Pearl, is that right? Moves to the town that Chase lives in, and all of the events that happened, and them learning to trust one another because they both have a lot of baggage, a lot of triggers that come up a lot in their relationship, and them just trying to figure out their way through all of that to have a happy ending. So I highly recommend that book. That was by Lauren Dane. I love her as an author. She does normal contemporary romances like the Chase series, as well as she does shifter type books as well. So would highly recommend her. She does great writing. The next book that I also completed was Coming Back, also by Lauren Dane. This book I didn't like because I didn't like the trope that's involved with the characters. Like, I definitely straight, and that's what I typically read is male-female romance, whereas this is male-female, male-male romance. It is a menage style romance, and I'm okay with that, but I didn't care for the intimate scenes of the male-on-male. That is just my preference. That if you're someone who does like to read, that is a great book. So I think I ended up, even though I didn't particularly care for it for me, I ended up giving, I think, a 4-star, because it is she did a good job writing it. It was just not for me. But I did like the other 2 books in that series, which I think is the Ink and Creme series. So would recommend it if you don't mind the male on male. That's just the part that I didn't particularly care for. The 11th book that I ended up finishing is Key of Valor. This was a reread or read-listen. Again, I have it on my Audible, so I listened to it coming and going from work. I started it, I think, either at the end of December coming into January, or started in January, I don't remember. But it's still a good book. The Key series, it's the 3rd and final book out of that trilogy. Again, these are 3 women who are trying to find these magical keys to open up a box that has 3 souls trapped in it. Again, it's dealing with gods, goddesses, and humanity, and being able to conquer against evil. Because you got an evil god trying to take over the behind the veil. So it is a good series. It is by Nora Roberts. If you've not, it's some of her older work, but it's still a good, and I would highly recommend the Key series. Then out of this huge book collection, only again was focusing in on Dracula out of this huge tome. I will probably later in the year go through and read some of the others, because on Goodreads it has it as a whole, even though I was focusing in on the one book. So I'll need to go back and try to figure out how to get that to be more accurate when keeping track of pages and that sort of thing. But it was not the story that I thought it was going to be. I always thought it was more of the romance. Even the movie production of it had a whole love story in it, intertwined, and it was, Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is what this story is, but there was no love interest really in it. So that was a different take on it, not exactly what I was thinking it was going to be, but I did enjoy it. To have actually read it for the first time, not bad. Again, it's just different than I was expecting it to be. The characters were a lot older than some of them than I was thinking they were going to be. But overall, good read. I would recommend it. Just go in knowing there's really not a love interest other than Harker and his wife, and then Lucy and the guy that she wanted to marry. But between Dracula and Mina, there was no love interest. So do know that going in. I did find that out, but overall still enjoyed it. Okay, we're getting closer to the end. Alright, the next book that I did read, this was I took as a recommendation from Kayla from Books and Lala. This is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I really did enjoy this book. I do want to do some reviews on some of these books coming up on my channel later. I enjoyed all the twists and turns. Some I figured out and was proven right at the end of the book, but I don't want to give anything away because it is a mystery and don't want to give that away. Don't want to be spoilers, but definitely I can see why this book is hyped up on BookTube because it is a really good, if you are trying to get into mysteries and thrillers, I would definitely highly recommend this book. Very good read. The next book I read was Bitten by Kelly Armstrong. This is a shifter style book, but it is more violent in a way. A lot of things go on in here than your typical shifter romance type books. Definitely a unique twist to everything. Great book, highly recommend. I think they even did a Netflix show series on it, following this book and possibly one of the other books as well that are in the series. But if you're looking for a good shifter romance, I would definitely pick this up. A lot of great things that she does in this book. One of my least favorite books. I have done an independent review on this book. I'll link it down below as well as up in the cards. This is The Turning, A Story of the Living Dead by Kelly M. Hudson. Again, I will let you go and check out that review. Did not like it. To me, it was nothing but torture. And the downfall of humanity happened so quickly. To me, it was a little bit unrealistic. But again, I'll leave it down below for you to go and check out my full thoughts on this book. So you got my dog snoring over there and then my cat in a box down. So we're going to get a little bit of noise coming here at the end of the video. The very last book that I managed to squeak in on January 31st, this is Kiss of the Night by Sherilyn Kenyon. I love her writing. I have not read her books in so long, so I wanted to pick this one back up. It is a great story. Once I really got into it, I put my other books down, focused in on this one, and I finished it, majority of this book in one night. So highly recommend. This again is a paranormal romance. It takes a combination of gods, the Greeks and the, I think they're called Olympians, and a twist on vampires of how they come about. So the vampires in this series, there are two. There are the Dark Hunters who hunt the demons, which are the evil vampires. So the gods Artemis, Apollo, and them have created the Dark Hunters to fight off the Apollomy, which is the Destroyer's demons. So great series, great author. I cannot believe I stopped reading her. I'm not sure if it's just after you read an author and so many of the books at once that they you start following their formula of style of writing. So definitely want to go back in and read more now that I have re-sparked my interest because I haven't read them in so long. Definitely highly recommend Sherilyn Kenyon books. Definitely. If you're into vampires, I think you would like her. That's what I typically read, as you can tell, even though I am branching off into other genres. Anyways, I hope you have enjoyed me sharing with you the 16 books that I did manage to finish this month of January. And if you did enjoy it, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you did enjoy this video. And until my next one, I hope you have a good one. Bye!